Hi everyone and welcome. I'm Diane and my passion is painting and creating nature-inspired watercolours in my studio, which are easy for you to do too. I share all my paintings with you on YouTube, and on our website dianeantone.com you can find free downloadable sketches for all the videos to help you make the most of your painting journey. And if you'd like a little bit more, we also have channel memberships with loads of perks for you to enjoy. So welcome on board. Click subscribe and turn on notifications, and let's learn to paint watercolour. So today I thought I'd share with you a typical morning in the studio. It's getting a bit late today, the clocks have gone back though, so I have an extra hour. And so I've just come into the studio, I'm surrounded by animals, and it happens to be a Sunday today, so I thought I would do something relaxing and not too stressful. And one way that I often start, I filled up my water pots, two nice big, these are, mason jars. I use those for my water because you can't have too much clean water in the studio or even on your kitchen table. I'm actually painting on a kitchen table, you know. This table here is an old pine table that I painted white, and it serves very well as a studio desk or painting table or whatever. So I always paint at the kitchen table and sometimes even in the house as well. Anyway, what was I saying? I'm covered in cat hair. Oh dear, already. Just had a shower and I'm already hairy. Something wrong with that. What was I saying? Yes, okay. So often when I come into the studio and I start, I need to warm up a bit. And one of the best ways I know of doing that now is to have a look at this book by Lorna Scobie, which is called 365 Days of Art in Nature. And I have recommended this before, and I'm not going to go into in great depth how good it is, because you can see that for yourself. And she gives you the opportunity to just, cut loose, paint a whale. I mean, come on. Would I have ever drawn a whale had I not had this book? I don't think so. And this is a sunset and childlike but very relaxing and enjoyable field of flowers, and they're just fun to do. And so I'm sort of working my way through more or less systematically, trying to. And at this page here, what have we got? As if you were in a train looking at a scene outside and painting what you see through the window of a train. So just by way of starting today, because what I wanted to do was to explore my paint boxes. And so I've got here, this is you have to, disregard my casualness, if you like. I've got two paint boxes here. One used to have Winsor & Newton paints in, and the other one used to have Schminke paints in. But one day, not very long ago, I decided that I would change the way they were organised. So I took all the blues and I put them in there, blues and greens, and I put all the reds and yellows and the blacks, actually, in this one. There's one black here as well, which is, I think, indigo or something. But so I organised them like that because I thought it might be more appropriate for somebody like me who tends to paint nature, because when you start to think about a nature painting, you're almost, excuse the dog clattering on the ground, when you're going to paint nature, you usually start with the concept either of cool or warm. Is this going to be a winter painting or a summer painting? Is this going to be mostly trees, or is it going to be sunny, flowery, florals? Which of these is more suitable for the painting that you're going to do? And so I thought it would be useful for me. I don't know if that's a good idea for you either, as well, rather. But anyway, and now I'm looking at this, and she wants me to do something along those lines. So I'm going to say, right, I will paint from my, just move it over a bit, paint from my blue box, my box of blues. And before I start, I'll clean up my mixing area here a little bit. This won't come completely clean because it's old. This is the Winsor & Newton box, and I didn't buy this new. I inherited it well, I didn't inherit it as such, but I acquired it from somebody who had given up painting and he was selling his things. So we bought all his stuff, and I'm sure he'd be pleased to know that it's all being given good amount of usage. But anyway, so I took the paints out and mixed them up. This is my Schminker box here, Schminker on there. And so in these two boxes now, I've got a mixture of Schminker, Winsor & Newton, and other bits and pieces as well. So just to get myself warmed up, I should use a bigger brush than that. Let's go for this one. I'm going to basically just bear that in mind and try to do something similar. Just make sure you can see. So to do this, I'm just going to paint in the raw, so to speak. I'll start with the sky. Skies are often usefully done in colours like cerulean and mauve. No, perhaps not. Cobalt blue, perhaps not phthalo blue. I'm just coming down here, looking at what we've got. I think that looks like good. Or this one. I'm kind of tired of giving paints names. I think it's quite nice to just treat them like friends and say, oh yeah, I like that blue. So put in some sky. This paper in this book is smooth, so it's like a hot press paper. That's the wrong way around. That's why that wasn't working. It's a hot press paper, and so smooth, and it's okay for painting watercolor, as long as you don't use too much water. So I'm just copying really what I can see here in my own inimitable style. I'm just going to whip over there to pick up some quinacridone gold to put in here on this hill, so to match up with what's up there, kind of thing. And this is not going to be a work of art. Don't be disappointed if it doesn't turn out to be a work of art. This is just warming up, getting ready to paint something else. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do today. I've got a few ideas in mind. So don't go back. Try not to go back into what you've done. Try to put the paint down and then leave it to do its own thing. If you want to alter anything, it's best to come back later. Now I've got some blues here that I smushed around earlier, and I'm going to paint the sea, just using those colours and leaving gaps, because I don't want it to, be a little bit choppy. And this is just to get your wrists moving and to get your brain acting up a little bit, more than nothing. So, and then we'll come back with a darker, what's that? I didn't mention, before I started painting, I had sprayed all of these colours. Anyway, that's what we wanted. I sprayed the paints with a little bit of water so that it was activated, so to speak. Not really activated, but, you know, able to be used. So that's that. That's my version of this up here. I'm just going to make that piece behind there a little bit darker. Take that up a little bit higher, perhaps in the distance there. I don't know whether that was a good idea or not. But we'll see when it's dry, and we'll just leave that now. That's just a play. So you can go and sit over there now. We're finished with you for the day. And what we're going to do today is I'm going to find a piece of paper, and let's use a piece of etcher. Shall I use cold press or shall I use hot press? It doesn't make any difference, because I think there was a big bad wolf on the prowl when these were packed up. I can't feel any difference. I suppose that might be slightly smoother. I'll go with that. I've got some pencils here too, by the way. some Derwent Inktense pencils, which a kind lady donated to me. Oh yeah, and I wanted to talk about paintings, just by way of a change. I was talking to my friend Denise last night in California, and she was saying about, I think she was saying, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, Denise, I think she was saying it's nice to have occasionally to have paintings that are a little bit more complicated than perhaps the one that I did recently, which was this one. I don't know if you've all seen this thing. Made it into cards like this, little greetings cards. But this was just a sort of very simple collage, which I did with some pieces of a failed painting. And I know a lot of people have said, oh, the colours on that, so beautiful, that wasn't failure at all. And in a way it wasn't, because I liked the colours as well, the greens and the blues and the lovely reddish tones. And then I put some gold on top in an effort to save it. And it did look nice, but it didn't look like it was going to be a tutorial, if you see what I mean, because it was mostly accidental. Anyway, where was I going? Yeah, I didn't even lift a paintbrush with this one. I had already painted this, and the rest I did with pen. And it's very simple, and I was intending it for people who wanted a really quick gift for someone, can turn it into a lovely bookmark or a little card or a little present even that you could possibly even consider putting in a tiny frame, because sometimes the cute little paintings look really good if they're in a little square frame or something. Anyway, but sometimes you want to do something a little bit more complicated, but you don't necessarily want to be stressing about it, do you? So that's the question, really. So shall I just paint some flowers? Because at the end of the day, when all said and done, I won't lie to you, it's actually probably the most relaxing thing that you can do. So what I'm going to do then, I'm going to plonk for that, because there are so many different options, and this is a bit big. Do I want to do it that big? You see, this is the truth. This is what my days are like. I'm going to do it I'm starting in the middle, and I'm not going to aim for anything particular. I'm just going to put the paint down where I feel it is asking to go. I'm going to rinse my brush. I'm going to pick up another colour. So what we're doing here, we are exploring our palette, our box of paints. Let's be kiddies today. Let's put our 5-year-old hat on and let's just see. And if nothing else, we'll have slightly less paint to use up, and we'll probably have an excuse to buy something else. So I'm trying to let this run. It doesn't always run when you want it to. And I'm going to try to move from the reds into browns and thinking dahlias and chrysanthemums and all that kind of thing. I'll leave a bit of a gap there, perhaps, and move up a bit. Thinking about, we just bought some chrysanthemums. I think you probably only call them, do you call them mums over there? Is that what you actually call them? Because we call them, I don't know, I call them chrysanthemums. I don't know. I'm old-fashioned. I'm terribly, terribly old-fashioned, actually. I think I was old-fashioned when I was young. I was the one that didn't want to go to the discotheque. Yes. Lack of courage, really. No idea what to expect. I wanted to actually, while I'm doing this is a good opportunity to chat about the YouTube channel. And every now and again, I do get inspired to remind people about the fact that when I first came across YouTube, which was, I don't know, probably 10 years ago now, I have no idea what I'm doing. I thought that it was just a place where people just put videos up. I didn't realise, and it's possibly the case that at that time it wasn't even true, that people had channels. So like you have a Facebook page, everybody on YouTube has a channel page, which is in my case called Diane Antone Studio. And you can go to that channel and you can find all the videos I've ever made, all there for you to sort through and find what you want to watch. And to do that, you can go to like Google, for example, and just type into Google Diane Antone Studio, and probably the first result that comes up on your results will be my YouTube thing. So you just click on that, and with any luck, it'll take you to our homepage or our channel page. And there you'll see headings. You'll see a heading that says new or uploads, I think it says, which is a bit strange, and videos and playlists. And it also says community tab. And you can obviously search all the videos if you go to the video tab. And if you go to the playlists, you'll find that a lot of the videos have been grouped into groupings such as Christmas and different categories. Anyway, can't think what they are at the moment. And then if you go to the community heading, then you will find there posts that we put up every day, almost every day. Tamsin or I will put up a post which is something of interest to you. And we try to communicate with you there through the community tab and let you know, or ask you questions and let you know what's going on and stuff like that. So I just thought I would remind people about that, because I know that I certainly didn't know about it. I didn't know even that there was such a thing as a channel until we started ours. And we didn't really even start our channel. It kind of started itself because I'd put up a couple of videos just as an experiment. And then after a year later, when the pandemic had been going for a year and we were just about getting to recover from our traumatization, starting to think about what we could do with our life since we'd now lost our existing employment. We got a message from YouTube saying, "Oh, did you know you've got 100 subscribers?" And we're like, "What? Why? We better put something else up then. We can't disappoint those 100 people." So we did. And that's all history. So now I've made a lovely colourful mess on here, and I've got these Inktense pencils here which are just crying out to be used to paint some stems. So I'm going to pick up leaf green, and I'm just going to see if I can find some places where there could be some stems, and I'm just going to draw some stems in because I feel like it. I don't know whether this is going to lead anywhere. And we could use the. I want to see what happens when I wet them. Interesting. Not sure about that. You know, sometimes you think, oh, that would be a good idea. I'm not very good at visualizing things, you know. I'm not. I find it hard. And I think pencils are probably not going to work for today. So I'm going to go back to the paints. And you can live to fight another day. We'll do something else with you later. And now I'm going to be looking for complementary colours. So we need a greenish violet, a sort of grey, greenish grey, I think. We need a test sheet. Test sheet, come here. got some quite nice greens here. Yeah, so I'll just start putting in some leaves. And we don't ever want to do any leaf the same colour, so every time you do a leaf, you're going to pick up the paint afresh. And it's supposed to be all very mixy. I have to put in at some point obviously I like it when that happens, you know. And we might want to drop in some darker paint at the bottom. Hello, Zen. To let that bleed up a bit. So we just go around the ones we've already done. That's a nice mix there, isn't it? And I do need to think about the centres, actually, don't I? So I'm not quite sure. I think a dark brown probably would be... this is Davies Grey. Can you see that? Yes, you can see that. Davies Grey is a good subtle colour. And if you mix that with a bit of green as well, then you're going to get a nice soft green, grey-green, bluey grey-green. We don't want these leaves to be too green. This one is, I think that's oxide of chromium. Don't like that. I'll get rid of that. Oh my goodness. That's interesting. This paper is definitely a bit tricky because what's happened there is it's soaked in. I think there must be something wrong with that paint as well, so I'm just going to try to remove that. That'll probably disappear more or less when it's dry, and then I'll paint another leaf over the top of it. So, or we could put some white on top. Doesn't matter because, you know, at the end of the day, it's just a play. You can use these pencils to put some veins in as well if you want to. And see how they turn out. Just keep them nice and loose. We're painting some centres using a bit of quinacridone and a bit of burnt sienna, burnt umber, something like that. Just pop in some centres so they start to look. And where the flowers are a bit darker, you might want to make the centres a little bit darker too. Leave a little bit of light. Okay, now we want a little bit more greenish. Oh, I'll keep away from that one. Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. How about a bit of turquoise? Turquoise and grey. Yeah, really strange what happened there. I don't know about that. And then as it begins to dry, you can come back into the various areas where perhaps you think maybe you want to emphasize it a bit more. So just the same color but a little bit darker. But I think it's really quite nice actually, just to keep it really fresh. I mean, that's quite nice there. And probably quite soon we might want to just let it dry. A little bit concerned about what happened here with that. I think it's the paper. I don't think it's the paint. I think it's not very well sized. I don't know. Put some white on top of that and let that dry. Probably be okay when it's dry. Okay, so now I'm going to let that dry and come back and see where we're at. Okay, so I'm going to, now having let it dry, I'm just going to darken some areas of the centres of the flowers, just to give them a bit more contrast there. Just again, keeping it loose, and I hesitate to say abstract, semi-abstract possibly, but I mean, unless you can't see that it's a flower, it's not strictly speaking abstract, but certainly loose interpretive style, I would say. You might want to put a few more small dots in here, I suppose, to indicate the centres of some of these yellow flowers. I don't want to go too crazy with that though, because it might spoil it, and maybe I'll just lift part of that out. You can always come in with a tissue and partially lift what you put in if you think it's gone a bit too strong. But we don't want to lose the lights. And yeah, because this is just a play. So maybe a few more leaves, or at least indications of leaves, not really. And maybe some stems. We could put in a few more stems in some of these areas here. You have to be brave and come in and just give quick flicks with your brush to indicate stems rather, and correct that horrible mistake there. Yeah, so just to give some direction. Doesn't have to necessarily connect to anything, because there's somewhere behind there's a flower, for sure. Yes, maybe, I don't know. It's just fun, really, just playing. You could put some spatter in now if you wanted to, but you might not want to. If you don't like the colour you've done, like I said, don't forget you can come in and just lift part of it out. Often just, if you break it up with a tissue, you'll end up with something that isn't quite so obnoxious. So I think I'm going to stop there. And yeah, no green really, no green to speak of, and just a nice sort of what's the word? A kind of. I might want to. I'll tell you what. Maybe a little bit of. You could come in at this point, and it is nice to do. You could come in with a little bit of white, and just put some dots on some of them. Perhaps they might need a bit breaking up, like that sort of thing. Perhaps you could embellish them as well. There's nothing to stop you picking up your pen, your white pen or whatever, and I'm not sure if I improved that. I don't think so. I think I'll probably just dab it out. But, try these things out. This is what it's all about, exploring your paint box. Thing is, I try to do these things as spontaneously and as naturally as I can, which means that often things don't really quite work out. But what I also like to show you is that sometimes if they don't work out at first, you can tell yourself, oh, actually, no, it did work out, because I just came back in after I had made what I was considering a mistake, used that bit there as a light, and then added more dark, and actually it's better now than it was before. So you never know, do you? You never know. These are flowers of an unknown type with just a sort of smidgen of autumn about them. Now I am going to stop. I'm going to go and heat up the soup. So I'll let you go. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you again here tomorrow, perhaps for something a little bit more constructed and less spontaneous, but who knows what will come out of the depths of my imagination. Who knows? Okay, bye everybody. Bye-bye.